All right, so with that, we're going to start the Central Park United Neighbors August meeting. So welcome everyone. We actually have a full house in the MCA administrative buildings. Okay, so I'll just start with an intro about Central Park United Neighbors. CPUN is the Registered Neighborhood Organization, or RNO, for the Central Park community. We provide a working forum for the residents of Central Park to participate in creating, developing, and fostering a vibrant urban community dedicated to social equity, environmental responsibility, and economic opportunity. At our monthly meetings, we facilitate the discussion of key issues with neighbors, engage in proactive problem prevention and amicable problem solving. And CPUN is committed to providing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all members of our community. Our mission is the betterment of the city of Denver by providing a forum for the residents living in Central Park to discuss and resolve issues, a network of communication, a means of acting on matters of importance to the community as a whole, and we promote public service, civic discourse, collective efficacy, and we're an all-volunteer board of Central Park residents and a registered 501c3. For those who don't know me, my name is Liz Stallmaker. I'm the board president for Central Park United Neighbors. And I think just a little logistical note. Anybody who is going to speak, I think if we can have one person who's in charge of getting the microphone to them. So we'll get the microphone to you, and please identify yourself by name.
I think it should pick up. Every other meeting I've been set on that.
Okay.
So.
Can you hear me? He said it should pick up the, can you hear me?
I don't know.
Okay.
So in any case, let's do just a quick overview of the agenda before we jump into our guest speakers. So we will be hearing from folks from Central Park artists. And then after that, we'll have a special presentation from our Safe Streets Committee co-chairs. It's a case study on the school corridor along Central Park Boulevard and 56th Ave. And I think there are a number of other folks who will also kind of be able to chime in with some information for that. And then we'll have community partner updates at 7:30.
Progress.
And then after community partner updates and hearing from Brian Loma, we'll move into the kind of board topics. We'll have our treasurer's report. Brian will give us the treasurer's report, an overview of basically kind of our general budget for 2025-26, and an overview of the budget process for folks who are new to the board or who have been on the board and need a refresher. And then we'll also, since we're back for the first time after our summer break, we're not going to have formal committee report outs. We'll just have kind of a more a looser board and committee catch up. And actually, I think I might want to kind of structure the meeting a little bit that way during our board hours going forward. And then we'll have a look ahead actually for our September, October, and November meetings. And without further ado, I have Kathy Scarvin from Central Park Artists and Susan Crane, also from Central Park Artists. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Don't know if people will be able to see us. Well,
Want to hand the microphone?
yes.
So actually, Susan, the microphone should be fine, just.
Oh, okay. Somebody had said he couldn't hear earlier, but yeah, I guess we can move it.
And do you turn on the camera for that?
That's what I'm trying to see if I can turn.
Oh,
Okay, there we go.
Oh, good.
Okay, Susan, while we move the microphone, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your organization.
Yes, I'm happy to. So I'm Susan Crane. I'm the chairperson for the Central Park Artists Organization. And we really appreciate having a few minutes to share about our organization as well as our upcoming Open Studios event. Kathy and I think we might be faster than our 15 minutes, so it's always nice to make up a little. So the Central Park Artists Organization grew out of the first Open Studios event, which was in 2013. And in 2016, we applied for our nonprofit status, received our letter of determination, and we've been functioning as a 501c3 or a 501. I always get those mixed around, the C and the 3.
I know, right?
But we're a nonprofit. Our vision for our group is to promote and provide inclusive community that has member activities, art shows, art education, workshops, programs, and studio events. The mission is to cultivate a vibrant community through integrating art into the lives of people. Currently, we have around 61 members. Most of our members live in Central Park. However, to be a part of our organization, you don't have to live within Central Park. Some of our activities include sharing our art with the community through rotating exhibits. For example, we've got rotating shows in the Flight Co, right over at the Cube, and at the Elemental Bakery and Coffee House. We are mentoring young artists in the community. We do pop-up shows. Every month we have education for our artists. There are social opportunities and art outings. Recently, we've started collaborating with the Shops at Northfield on some shared art events. And we support other Central Park activities such as the Mini Golf Classic. So that's a little bit about us. Now I will turn it over to Kathy to talk about our annual premier Open Studios event.
Hi, I'm Kathy Scarvan. I'm the membership chair and the director of Open Studios for Central Park Artists. I reiterate what Susan said. Thank you so much for giving us time to talk about our organization and an opportunity to present a couple of events that we're super excited about. The premier event is the Open Studios Central Park Denver Open Studios Tour, and it's free to the public. It's open. It's a self-guided tour, and it's free. So we invite art enthusiasts, friends, neighbors, other artists, people who are just curious to come to our studios and see works in progress, finished works, art demos, and to connect directly with the artists. This year we have 25 artists showing at 13 different locations, and we're pretty excited. Our first Open Studios was 2013, and then we continued that annually until COVID. And then in 2020, we did a virtual tour. And for me, it was a non-event, but some other smarter artists got creative and invited people to their studios wearing masks, and they got to see their art, and they socialized on the patio, and it was a successful event for them. And then that was 2020, and so 2021, we still were not comfortable inviting people into our homes and our home studios, so we didn't have an event that year. And then 2022, those artists that were really creative, they got together with us and helped us produce we called it Studio Tours by Invitation. And so it was really that we invited people to come to our studio and by appointment, and we allowed an hour, and we did demos, and everybody wore masks. And so that was a successful event as well. Then 2023, our founder and tour coordinator had moved away. And so nobody was really up for the task of doing Open Studios. So that year it was no event as well. So then about the end of 2023, or maybe the beginning of 2024, the MCA approached us and said, we would like to revive Open Studios. So I met with Diane and Lawrence, and I said, what inspired you to want to revive Open Studios? And she said something like, it's such a great community event. Mm-hmm. It brings people into the neighborhood to see art. It brings foot traffic to our businesses and restaurants. It's an educational component for kids and adults. It's a family affair. It's a win-win. How did I do?
You did great.
So they sponsored us last year. They were our only sponsor, and it was a successful event. And, so this year, they are sponsoring us again, and we have 39 other sponsors.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, so they were walking us through the steps, and it's been awesome, thank you. So, excuse me, Open Studios, has always been the last weekend in September. So this year it's the 27th and 28th. And the studios are open from 11 to 5. And this year we're doing a special event called Plan Your Tour Party. So that will be on it's 2 weeks before the event, September 13th, from 12 to 4 at the Cube. And we will be highlighting our sponsors, and each artist will have a piece of art in the exhibit at the Cube. And many of the artists will be there in person to do live demos and or talk to you about their work. So let me see where
Might
I
I
am.
The free art drawings.
Oh, yes, so we will be having free art drawings and refreshments, and we hope you can. Okay, so we would like to partner with this organization to make the event more impactful. And a few things that you can do is, and you're already doing some of it, is to highlight us and the dates in your newsletter, social media, word of mouth. And if you have people that have members that have retail associations or an office or a place that they could give us exposure if they wanted to put a poster up, we would appreciate that. So just to wrap up, Open Studios is September 27th, 28th. Studios are open 11 to 5. The Plan Your Tour Party is September 13th, from 12 to 4. And we're really excited about the event. It's a community-driven event, and it's designed to inspire and bring people together through art. We hope you can be there. Thank you.
And on the back counter there, I see we have a bunch of the gorgeous booklets the Catherine designed, as well as the lovely posters. So please help yourself.
And the posters have like the poster on the front, and on the back it has a logo of all the sponsors.
With the posters, have you been putting them up like at the library or the Starbucks or anything?
We haven't been really active just yet, but we're ready to get active,
Okay.
and we're gonna be putting them out.
Do you need some, so we have done some flyering for our community survey, and have a spreadsheet of addresses. If, you'd like that, I can share some of those addresses with you and the property managers for the apartments.
That would be so awesome.
So I'll send that to you and then let us know if you need some volunteers, like.
Okay, that would be good. That's
I think we need
a
to-
great idea. Thank you
That's
so
our
much.
flyering. So,
Yes.
so,
Thank you.
okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah.
You probably thought of this, the art teachers at the high school, middle schools, PTAs.
We have someone who is assigned to the schools, but Susan specifically had been in touch with Denver School of the Arts, and so, yeah. But if anybody has any contacts, like you were just talking about, that you already have contact with, that's always nice to have an
It would
introduction.
be nice to have our teachers be aware of this.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
So,
That bit more. Sometimes we have had kids come from DSA and they get credits for going to exhibits and stuff.
okay.
So, you know, I don't know exactly, but Susan will get the word out to DSA for sure.
But in the big picture, we have found it a little challenging to get into the schools. Like, you don't just walk into a school. You need to know who to talk to in the proper channels. So if someone said, oh, talk to the administrative person, and then they'll have the parents put in parents newsletter. So we tried that a few years ago, and I don't think it happened. So truly, if anyone knows great contacts for the schools,
Recording in progress.
we're happy to hear those.
Yeah.
My son
does
visual arts, so.
There's one question on the in the chat, are you doing any social media about the tour? So you just want to touch on
Yes,
that?
we are. Central Park Artists has a public Facebook page. We have a private Facebook page, which is for members only. And then individual members are like posting, like 2 or 3 times a week. And then we all comment on everybody's, posts. Yes.
Insta? There's an Insta too, right? Instagram?
Yeah.
We do have an Instagram account as well.
Okay.
And when we post on our Instagram account, it shows up on our website.
And they're both Central Park artists?
Yes, well, Central Park Artists is the public, Central Park Artists Organization is the private.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you. We'll share out some of that information and I'll follow up with you and with Susan, in our email thread. Okay, well, I think that we can move to, the Safe Streets presentation. I'm going to, share our screen again. All right, we are going to hear from, Amy Campbell and Carol Hunter, our Safe Streets Committee co-chairs. And so I just kind of preliminary comments for me is I really wanted to have this as a topic for one of our meetings because I think that folks do very good work in our committees, and sometimes committees can kind of languish and not quite know like where to focus or where to take action. So I think that structuring this as kind of a case study about a very specific issue that the Safe Streets folks have been working on for, the last several months, I think is one to let our board know both what is happening in a committee and also what is possible. And then also just kind of thinking about how to organize, like basically how to organize around a particular issue in our neighborhood or in collaboration with other neighborhoods. I think that can give us a lot of food for thought. So I will let Amy and Carol take it away. I'll run the slides, so just let me know when I need to move them.
My name's Carol Hunter and I'm on the CPUN board. And this is Amy Campbell, who refuses to come on the board because she's so busy, but she is incredible. She's co-chair of this committee and she just works, and she's always available and I love working. And she's much smarter about this topic than I am. She's very active. She's a bicyclist and she bikes to work, and so she has a child, and so this is important to her for some really important reasons. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and skip to it's on my notes, the timeline, because this whole thing started last.
I feel like we should say what the problem is.
Okay, that would be good. I was just assuming everybody knows, right? Yeah, there you go.
So I do like the idea of framing this as a case study. I think that was a good way to think about it. And so the case studies that we're thinking about, and the problem is the infrastructure for pedestrians and bicyclists, specifically around the schools on the north side of Central Park. So on all the schools north by 70, that's sort of what this project was about. Skip to the side.
Okay.
And you got it.
Well, do you want to go to?
Yeah,
the
let's
map, or-
just go to that,
Okay.
the
So this
timeline.
kind of helps. Do you want the timeline or the map?
Well, the map is there, and so that's just illustrating what she just said.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's 6 schools, elementary, middle, and high schools.
Yeah.
In this area of the neighborhood.
I just thought this would be a helpful visualization. for
Yeah.
folks who are not as familiar with either the schools or the neighborhoods.
And most of them share campus,
Yeah, they're all co-located.
which if you want to get into the weeds, it presents its own sort of challenges. So,
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so timeline.
So I can't recall exactly how Joe got in touch with me, but he did, and he is an MCA delegate. And he connected with us, last year. And we went to a meeting, we were invited to a meeting with, several other attendees and several other entities. And he had taken film, he had extremely disturbing pictures of kids running across 56 from Northfield High School to go get lunch or what have you. They don't use the crosswalk, most of them. And they were just darting out into traffic, and I'll bet you every one of you's been on 56 and any time of the day, and you know what's happening. It's a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. And and that's become another issue as to what people are really doing and that sort of thing in terms of speeding, but easily 50 miles per hour, and on and on and on. And then I started volunteering at Denver Green School, so I was getting another view of it at certain times of the day. And it just was horrifying to me. And then I was noticing that cars were pulling into the one crosswalk that is there on 56 and Central Park Boulevard. So the kids were trying to cross, but there were cars blocking their crossing. So he had these pictures, and that's all I needed to see. Oh, I want to add that Matt has been part of this too. Matt Blackburn is part of this, has Heather. She's not able to be here, so she's another board member, and she has a child at Willow. So she's been very active too. So anytime you want to come into this conversation, please do. But I just wanted you to know that this has been going on for, and there have been various meetings. I haven't attended all of them, so I can't speak to that. But do you want to go back now, maybe to this?
Sure.
The version of the slides.
There were 2 kids hit and hospitalized a few years ago
Yeah, that was
Yes.
about,
On Central Park
20
Boulevard.
at Central Park Boulevard.
that was spring of 2023, I think. And they were Northfield High students, I think.
DSST.
Oh, they were, okay.
Brother, sister hospitalized. It was really, really bad. So
Yeah.
like there's already been a problem.
Oh, yeah.
There's already been injury.
And I would
Okay,
say,
so
I will say our committee has been, maybe it comes up here, so we've been working on the specific issues since the end of 2024. But since at least 2022, we've been trying to work with the city, safe routes to schools, like, we have totally understood that this is not like a new, challenge. So, yes. We've also talked to other entities, like RTD, our RTD director, to try to think about, transportation to and from, especially the high school, but that's sort of a separate topic. But then again, these specific needs were brought to our attention more recently by Joe Landon, so he really sort of was the advocate pushing this forward and like trying to bring all these different stakeholders together to like get something done. Okay, so this is a slide outlining the venue players.
The many players, well, I
Yeah.
also did want to add, I think, part of kind of in conjunction with, like, I think the work that you guys were doing, around the same time, we were coming up with questions for, the CPUN community survey. And so I think we put in an open-ended, this will come back later, but we put in an open-ended question, around concern, just for folks, free response, concerns around intersections throughout the community. And that was we had a couple of free response questions, and by far, I think it was about 271 comments. It was the most, comments we received on any question that had an open-ended, aspect to it. So that kind of was around the same time that you started working on this also. So now the who's who.
There they are.
Yeah, so clearly, people of the neighborhood, the residents that live community schools, the school communities themselves, so school leaders were involved in this process of trying to work with the city and different people to make some change. The Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, the city, I don't know, department. And then we highlighted some of the actual individuals who we were communicating with. Again, the Park Creek Metro District, which maybe Matt can talk about a little, MCA itself, CPUN, of course, Denver Public Schools, and the Denver Police Department, if you start talking about enforcement of particular street rules or traffic rules. And I will say Joe, I guess for some context, Joe Landon, who was an MCA delegate, thought that sort of bringing Park Creek Metro District and the City of Denver Department of Transportation and Infrastructure together could be impactful, because we need to talk to each other to have some of these changes happen because of how new the neighborhood is. A lot of the streets are actually owned by the Metro District, and so the two organizations really need to communicate with each other to make some of these things So the school leaders have been great. Joe has been great in like trying to push this step forward. Park Creek Metro District is also quite willing to put funds behind some of these changes, and they agree, like, things could be improved around the schools. But Dottie, which is a city entity, is the main decision maker for most of these, like, asks that we have. And my take home would be that most of the slowdowns come at city level, not at any of the other organizations. I don't know, Carol, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I'm impressed as to why we receive the same response year after year. There isn't enough money or staff to implement. I moved here in 2017 and Kathy can back me up on this because she lives across the street from me, that the street we live on, Uinta, is a speedway. And so that's how I became involved with CPUN, and I started contacting my city councilor and different entities and Dottie and that sort of thing, and it was just the same thing all the time. Now, I know yesterday was a horrific day for city employees, and so we're going to, and we already know that, I mean, that Dottie has lost people and funding, and so it's, you know, doubly, triply a problem now. But I just think we need to be creative, and that we can be creative, so we don't get the same answer again and again, and it's rote, it's just, there's not any money and we don't have the staff. And I've been hearing that since 2017.
So just to add a little context about the Park Creek Metro District, for those who don't know, that's the district that is funding the development of the Central Park neighborhood, and actually owns a lot of the streets. Most of the streets are being transferred to the city, and that is an ongoing process. And quite a bit of progress has been made, but and so just to give a couple of examples, 56th Avenue has always been owned by the city, but more of the neighborhood streets, and I think Central Park Boulevard, are still owned by Park Creek. And so, and that's why Park Creek has been involved and has offered to bring actual money to the table to get some of these things done. And so we don't have Jack Seward here, but he's works for MCA, and he's been active in this process along with Park Creek. And so just they met, Jack and a representative from Park Creek met with Amy Ford of Dottie last month in July. And so the signage around the Willow Elementary has been adjusted to align with the principal's request, so that's one.
Yeah, we have some slides.
We have some slides,
Oh,
we'll
we
go
do?
into that.
Oh, okay, cool, let's get.
Yeah, we can do that. I guess, yeah, please.
I'm Chuck O'Connor. I live on Central and Alton up at the very north end, but I was involved with 56 when everybody was crashing down there. And they said part of that, when I went to Denver infrastructure, they said part of that intersection is owned by Commerce City. And so the lights are
Another layer,
controlled.
yeah.
Okay,
Oh, so that actually, that is the.
I didn't know.
Commerce City
I've been
owns.
also told that,
To the
the
west
east
of.
side of Central Park and 56 is Denver, and the west side is Commerce City.
so,
Okay,
and so that where Central Park goes north of 56 and it's divided, the one side is Central Park, or is Commerce City, because that's when it gets developed, it's supposed to go all the way around. I went to Commerce City, and that is true that they have that piece of road. So that's what happens with the intersection. It's a big problem because you're also bringing in another city.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have some of that on the Aurora, the Aurora border, like
Okay,
kind
all
of
right.
between the cities, issues too, so thanks for flagging that, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so none of these schools are in that
Well,
gray zone,
Right.
but, so that helps, like, sort of, because those issues complicate all of these efforts. I think this makes, because none of the schools are they're all in Denver,
Yeah,
it simplifies things, but that is definitely a hurdle we've run into as a
and
community.
where we're having the problem is that Alton and Central Park, Commerce City road starts right there. So coming around there, but we have a school stop at the corner for the grade kids, and we've had 2 or 3 kids not get hurt, but get hit. for the last couple of years, right there. And Denver has been out there, but in the morning, there's 3 different, that's where they pick up everybody to go to the different schools. And with all the cars and everything there, it could be a problem. So it's not,
That's
I'm
really
just saying, it's just not around the school, it's
Yeah,
some of
layering,
these big,
layering on bus pickup zones would be very interesting, and as another, like.
Yeah, actually, with that map, actually, I think, anyway, if anybody, if anybody would like to work with me on actually putting school pickup, kind of marks on, the little neighborhood map, that actually is helpful, because you
Yeah.
see where the pain points are, of like kids kind of in the right of way, and also the pickup drop off locations.
and the buses come different ways
Yeah.
to that corner to pick up, so. Just a little bit of information. I didn't know if you knew Commerce City owned.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Can't you change all the bus stops to the back of the school? And all the pickup to the back of the school?
No, there.
No, this is where they're dropping off,
Or
like,
drop off, just always make it
Or
the
it's
back of the
From
school.
the neighborhood to.
no, in the
school,
neighborhood
to
school, going to the schools, and like they pick up in ours to go to the other, not just Willow, but I mean to the other schools.
It's a busy corner.
is that the common?
And what is the, what is the speed limit at that corner?
Well, the other thing is, I mean, and up till last year, that's the only road going to the north end, so when they were, built, it was the ready mix trucks and everybody going through there with skids the first couple of years. It's still slowed down a little bit, but because it's getting built out, but it's a dangerous for the grade school kids and the junior high kids.
I was just gonna, address the bottom of this slide. It says question, who else should be at the table? I would just say that DSST, they have a campus at CG Middle that shares with Willow, and then the high school that shares with Northfield. They are definitely part of Denver Public Schools. I just have 2 kids there. Definitely part of Denver Public Schools, but DSST, I think, would be an effective separate line of communication, to bring to the table for both of those campuses.
I believe the
If they're not already.
the high school and the middle school were at one of our
Yeah.
main
Yeah.
stakeholder meeting that we had where. I don't remember if you were there, Jesse, where Dottie was there, Park Creek Metro, so they were definitely.
There's also a layer of governance above, like the school leadership. I think DSST has its own board that is separate, or there's kind of a central sort of governance of all of the DSST schools that's separate from the DPS board. That just in terms of like other folks, to make other folks who have some sort of access to someone else, like, might be useful.
Yeah.
But actually, so
I've
if we
just-
want to,
I found those leaders over there to be really great.
I
at
can't remember
DSST.
trainer.
Trainer, yeah, she's at the middle school.
Yeah, she was very impassioned speaker during that meeting and made some great points, I thought, so.
They all knew about.
They're great
it
now
tonight. Just,
Yeah.
I let them know. It's not like they're not busy right now, too. Yeah.
Who's liable if someone gets hurt? Is it the person who owns the street?
Not know.
Probably the driver of the car,
Or the
or the
kid.
person, I would think is not.
Yeah, guessing.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that we kind of talked a little bit about the other parts of the slide, and then we can kind of have the more open-ended discussion.
There we go.
Okay, so I guess when we were trying to think of who else have we not maybe engaged with as much as we could, Denver Public Schools themselves, like what control do they have over what the infrastructure around a school looks like? They have not been very involved up until now, and they didn't seem particularly interested in collaborating with, the people who reached out. We've worked with the District 8 office with Councilwoman Lewis, but we could always engage with you guys more and see, what buttons we can push at the city level. I will say you're always generally supportive of the things we're trying to do, so thank you. And yeah, anyone else that people think that we've missed out who could bring in to try to make.
Your sheriff and police.
Yeah, I mean, the police are very, specific that they enforce the traffic enforcement, right? So if someone's speeding, we can ask to have speed radar van come out, we've done that. But I think they are limited in the things they can do to sort of really change behavior, is what I would say. With the tools they have right now.
Yeah, and some of this is, I think that you've been kind of working more toward design solutions
Yes,
as opposed to enforcement-based solutions.
Yes. Well, because they can't
So
be there
that's-
enforcing at
yeah.
all the locations all the time. That's just not.
Yeah, and just also like the sheriffs run the jails, they don't do, in general, aren't part of kind of the enforcement structure, for this.
As you can see from the slide, we had DA interns, entering, the CPUN survey data, as, 311 cases, and that's really the best way that you can get the city's attention on a single issue. We do have Fiona here tonight. She's, one of the interns who helped, compile all of that data, so, she can speak a little bit to sort of the methodology of inputting, getting it over to 311 and sort of where we're at here.
I can do that right now.
Let's get through this. Do you want to do that now? You want
That's
to-
fine, I will say, similar to what Jesse just said, the city has told us the best way to sort of make a data point that something is an issue is to make a 311 request. And so being able to put in hundreds of these potential problem areas is very, I think, could be very compelling. Again, I don't know. Then you get to, doesn't have funding to do the things, but at least then they have a record of these are issues that the neighborhood has identified. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you had a comment on there to an earlier question about the Denver bicycle lobby as an answer to the question. I know you want to get to that a little
Okay.
bit.
No, that's another partners, from the chat, somebody suggested the Denver Bicycle Lobby.
Okay, I am making a list of what everybody is saying, so
Excellent.
I'll let that.
And yeah, in Central Park, so we had like 538 reports total on the survey. But about half of them, of the responses that we got didn't have a specific location defined. It was just people complaining, which I understand the impulse. I do that every day. 264 of them were deemed actionable by me and my fellow intern, like, oh, look, a location, wonderful. So we submitted all of those. It was a large volume, so I'm waiting for the manager at 311 to get back to me to say what all those case numbers are. And then as soon as I have all the case numbers, I will send them to Liz. But yeah, Central Park and 56 came up quite frequently. So that should be a pretty glaring, large set of data points. That's my piece.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think that I kind of like that also just to highlight, like, one, what's the point of doing the survey? And open-ended responses are very difficult, like, just from, like, analyzing, but in terms of just like feedback that is ready to go to the city, that then you guys assisted in actually getting it into the city's systems, I think is a really good way of thinking about how can we leverage, like, what we can do from the community side and what the city offices can do, to kind of move the ball forward on this. So, okay, I'll move to the next slide. So, okay, we did, if we want to do just, we've kind of looked at this slide before, but just, I guess, are there, since you highlight a couple of meetings, I guess, were there any main takeaways or kind of steps forward after the meetings that happened this spring?
I feel like the meeting in April, I would say this happened much more quickly than any other project that our committee has tried to work on since I've been involved. And I really think Joe being there and taking ownership of it, right, was very helpful. And so once the April meeting where everyone sort of came together and they seemed to be all on the same page, we agreed on what the issues were, said, okay, what can we actually do about them? That was sort of the next steps. And that was what Matt was getting at. So I think on the next slide, it has what actually came out of the meeting.
Okay, and then, so. Right.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
now if you wanna.
So the takeaways again were that I believe that Willow Elementary, there has been some adjustment of the signage around it to help alleviate some of the issues that were there.
In terms of, like, when you talk about signage, do you mean like speed limit postings or like children?
I think it was related to where the bus drop off zone was and where you could park. And we're not supposed to be parking, so no parking signs and like bus zone only, drop off only signage. Is what, but Heather would really know, and she's not here, so.
And then at the Inspire campus, crosswalks were found to be deficient. A work order, I assume that the city has been created to repaint and stripe the street to bring those up to code. School zone signs around the Paul Sandoval campus were also found to be compliant with national standards of reduction in speed. According to, this is the results of a July meeting last month. Reduction in speed is not warranted based on a completed traffic study. And of course, I'm sure most of us in this room would probably dispute that. We're in
We
now.
follow up on that.
In the
Appropriate
office to
speed.
get like information on like what was in that traffic study?
There's all kinds of questions that you and I talked about where it's positioned, what time of day. I mean, we don't have any of the.
Was it during the summer or during the school year?
How long ago was conducted?
I think it was this summer. Conducted.
It seems kind of strange to me that we conduct a traffic study around schools during the summer.
Yeah.
When we're talking about pedestrian and cyclist safety around schools.
As I said, we have some questions. that you-
So yeah, so we'll be following up on that.
Okay, a couple of other things.
Next slide.
So the, yeah, designed for a mid-block hawk signal, so like an on-demand crosswalk at 56th and Beeler is underway. That's, again, that road is owned by the city. That project will be funded by the city. And currently, there's no funding source identified for that specific thing, but it is on their list of things to implement. And then I mentioned the crosswalks around Inspire, that 57th Avenue, which is on to the north of the Inspire campus, is owned by PCMD. I believe that Park Creek Metro District, will fund a crosswalk there. I think where like a mid-block crosswalk, that's closer to the school entrance is proposed and I think currently being studied. So, and I think those are the highlights around this.
Thank you. So then, your turn, Steph.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so. One of my takeaways from this is that things actually happen, like signs were put in, it's, small as that sounds, that's like
In
actually
less than a year.
a huge
Yeah,
deal in my experience trying to work with the city. But then it just also makes you feel like, oh, that's so little, right? Oh, there's so much more that could be done, so.
also we're one neighborhood in a city where you have kind of underinvested neighborhoods all around us. Like, I think that this issue is kind of just one issue among like hundreds or thousands around schools in the city.
Yeah, and so we were thinking, what else can we do? And we can always advocate the city and our representatives in the city to have more funding in the city budget put towards things like this. Safer to schools, infrastructure specifically for, safety around schools or safety for people not in cars or however you wanna fund it. Or like, talk about it. And we can talk about the challenges of that in the current environment, those are real. And then individually, we can just drive the speed limit, don't use your phone while you're driving, watch out for other people on the road.
Stop at stop signs.
Stop signs or red lights, like small things, just be like a kinder driver maybe. And then I'm open to any other ideas people have, like, how to kind of keep pushing for change. I do feel like it's an issue that most people agree on, like it's around schools, it's for kids, it's kids who, they can't drive a car, like they have to be using alternative ways to get to school, like, so how can we make that process easier for them? More fun, safer.
Hi, I'm Amy, I'm a parent of a freshman in Northfield. And she admitted to me today and yesterday. She ran her class next 6. And we were talking about freshmen not being supposed to be off campus, so. Great. not that this maybe would help or not, I don't know, so how they have on, Northfield. The apartments, push the button, lights up. We're supposed to stop, not that they do, they also have this window, I think on. What is it, down on, Martin Luther King, kind of by the rec center?
Oh, yeah.
This would maybe promote more kids to go across, I get it, but like, you know, they're not gonna go to the crosswalk. These are lazy teenagers. Has there been any mention of maybe putting that in?
Yeah,
Those
that's.
kind of-
Yes.
Oh, that's what
That's
that
what
is.
Yeah.
So that's been talked about, maybe putting that in at 56, kind of right there where the seniors all turn into park.
Yeah, that is it, yes, yeah, it's,
I think Beeler's were like the Taco Bell's on the corner of Beeler,
Yeah.
so like.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
and the city Department of Transportation and Infrastructure has warranted that, and they said, like, yes, this is something that
Okay. We just don't
would
have
be
the
done,
money
but
to
there are
do
no
that.
funds to do that.
Got it.
And so as an example of how long these things can possibly take, there's supposed to be one of those activated, a different kind of crosswalk, but over by the rec center at Clinton and MLK.
Mhm.
That was warranted by Dottie in 2019.
And
And
you're
it's
still waiting
not,
for it?
it's not. So just to set some expectations, like,
I got it.
depending on what the funding situation is, and these things are not inexpensive, so. Even if the city engineer said that this is a thing we should do.
Yeah.
How long it takes to actually get done is
Mhm.
the frustrating part.
Sure, sure.
Has anybody talked to the school district about putting a fence to those crosswalks? I mean, along
Yeah, I think-
56, so that the
Yeah.
kids go to the when the crosswalk gets put in.
That's
It's
cheaper.
fenced on
Take the
both
fence
sides.
up.
That is under consideration as well. The Metro District does own the median on 56, or maintains that median, and so, yeah, they're studying putting a fence in the median, so that.
Oh, in the meeting, all right, not in school, but the school could do that.
The school has pushed back on a fence being on their property. They think it looks too,
Like a prison.
institutional, prison-like.
Yeah.
However, it is the best short-term, least expensive solution. And it doesn't have to be, it can be a black chain link that looks very nice, very handsome, all along 56th Avenue. I'm 100% behind it.
Yeah.
And I think we could easily find funding for that.
What if you had it
it's-
as an art project?
Actually,
there's the kids do art.
do something to create a block.
Like the stuff, like, right at, Montview and Syracuse, Ashley
Oh,
has, Ashley
Yes.
has those, and they
Yeah.
use that
Oh.
as.
Yeah.
You know, or that, so DPS does have a precedent for fences
Yes.
on business streets.
And so to me, we need to push back on DPS
Right.
and get them to say yes to a fence. And, you know, okay, it can't come out of their budget, but I think we can find the funding for it to go in. If they give their approval, but from what I understand, that it's DPS that's pushed.
Well, I think
Back.
there's a fence on the campus, and then there's a fence in the median, so I think Park Creek would put a fence in the median. That wouldn't be like a high fence, but it would be enough of an obstacle that you would have to go down to the corner to get across the street, so that would discourage people from doing what they do now. I.e. students of just crossing in the middle of the street,
Or
so.
they'll be stupid and they'll cross in the middle and be like, shit, I can't get to class anymore, now I gotta run back the other way and do it once, and then they'll figure it out, you know?
have a teenager.
I think. Every day.
But I'm afraid of
As a parent, like sitting here thinking that I've never received.
Yeah.
I've never received communication from my kiddo's school. I'm just gonna say this, like, about this problem. And so I'm sitting here as a parent thinking that I wanna go have a conversation with the school, because I'm kind of disappointed to see that DPS isn't responding and isn't taking this seriously, because the first thing that, they're the first people that are gonna get mentioned when a child gets hurt there. It's gonna be a Denver Public School student, a DSST student. That's the first thing that is gonna be reported. So I mean, it's just shocking to me that I see parents drop off their kids in the middle of 56th Street. I have sat in those left-hand turns and seen parents let their kids out. They get in the median and then they run.
Wow.
So it's not just, I mean, this is like, this communication needs to be coming from the head of Northfield, from the head of DSST, saying, you know, parents, you have a responsibility to not be letting your kids off in the middle of the street. You know, why don't we have leadership standing there at those corners directing kids to the crosswalk? I mean, I just don't understand why
It's a little bit
always
incumbent
no, it's
upon
not.
people too, to pay attention, like, I have a kid in Northfield too, I'm dropping off yesterday. One, in the designated drop off area, people decided to just park their cars there, even though that's supposed to be the drop and go. And then on Central Park, it says clearly, this is not, I don't know, I think it says school buses only, but of course, everybody's letting their kid out or getting their kid in the car right there, and so people just don't wanna do what they're supposed to do.
But do you think communication coming from the school, like, as a community, we're a school
Yeah,
and
but I'm
parents, you
saying,
know, I'm just, like, I've never seen any even attempt at that kind of communication to parents about this problem from the school directly.
People just need to, you know, read, where's the drop off? Oh,
It's
okay.
certainly not in the middle of the season.
Yeah, or anyway, like, oh, this is the designated drop off, so that's just what you do. And then you don't park your car there because that blocks up the flow of vehicles trying to get their kid dropped off in time. So it's a lot of human behavior. You can't blame it all on
Yeah.
signs and institutions not doing the right thing. It can't hurt to let people know to do that, but.
My daughter did tell me when she ran back across the street after her Taco Bell with her group of 8 friends, a teacher was standing there.
Oh, there we go.
And
Good.
said, I'm not mad at you because you're a freshman and left campus. I could care less about that. I am mad because you ran across 56,
Mhm.
and that is unacceptable. Do not do that. And then that person proceeded to tell them about the 2 kids that were hit.
Okay.
So they reiterated that, and they said, do not do that again. And they tried to scare them and instill fear in them to not do that. But so that happened. But again, how much the teachers are actually out there and telling them and watching that and trying to tell these little freshmen, don't do this. And no matter how much I tell my daughter not to do this and to wear a helmet on these stupid line scooters, she does have it.
Right.
She's invincible. So,
They're teenagers.
yeah.
I will just throw in that I walk that every day. Okay,
Yeah.
I walk from all down and around the football. And I'm saying in the morning when I stay out of there when the kids between 8 and 9,
Yeah.
but I mean, if I get there, they do have the golf carts out there. There is administration usually at where you turn in, I don't know, east on 56 by the tennis courts and stuff. There's usually they're usually down on the corner. And they're also there at lunchtime.
What about requests for just like traffic lights, for example? Having that right off of Central Park onto 56, like why are you allowed to do a right on red at that intersection? That
I
doesn't
mean-
make, and that seems like it would be a simple thing, like you just can't take a right on red at that intersection anymore,
There's an
or
error.
at least during
It's
school
actually
hours.
an error.
It's
There
an
is,
error.
I don't believe there's a no.
But there's no right.
There's not.
There is
That
not,
would be-
and that is problematic, because you've got cars trying to take a right on red, that crosswalk is filled with kids.
That's, and Monaco turning right onto Montview has a don't turn, even though the green, and people watch it because it's by the schools.
Right.
That is
So-
definitely a specific request we've been putting through of one and ask for
And it works.
that change to be made. They would evaluate the intersection and see if it allows for that, and I think that would be very reasonable.
All that's why I came tonight is
Fair, it's fine.
that is still controlled. The control box is in Commerce City. So you're gonna be,
For
you
that,
know, just Denver for the whole intersection.
Well, that's okay.
okay.
So I'm just saying, so it's gonna be Denver, Commerce, I mean, it's gonna be another layer. You gotta go
I
through.
will say that they have made changes to the light
Right.
timing at that intersection, Dottie has, and so it seems like they were able to work with
With Commerce City,
whatever,
Commerce City.
whoever has the box on the property, but the engineers have changed. You know, I think the blinking yellow to be different timing at different times of day, like, they're definitely they have tried to change the signal timing there to make it safer during school pickup and drop off, but I don't believe there's a no right on red sign. There is,
Yeah.
Being a new resident up there and having lived in the original part, that is probably one of the best signaled intersections in the neighborhood. just the way it works and it is, it doesn't have the, the four-way, stop in the middle of the intersection. It's probably one of the best intersections, not,
Yeah.
but from a perspective of having lived near MLK and Central Park, that 56 in Central Park is actually a much better intersection.
But it only gives you,
Signal.
it only gives you 18 seconds to get across the street.
Yeah.
And when in the morning there, when you have 30 or 40 kids going across, they're going there, but they're also going across at the gas station. They can't all fit in the corner, so they're going every which way.
Well, that would be another specific ask you can make of the city to say, please extend the walk
Right,
timing.
right.
It's only 18 seconds, that's not sufficient to cross the street, and there's no median to stop at in the middle.
But it goes back to the traffic study not being done in the summer. Being done when school's done.
I feel like that takes some more digging, I don't know if that's what traffic study they were, actually referring to.
Was the traffic study that they had, like the?
I don't know, that's what,
Like,
that's
what it is?
Understanding.
Okay, then that's.
They didn't say exactly where they parked.
And I believe Dottie has done a different, study of that area through the Safe Routes to Schools program, so I don't know how the two
Okay.
studies might
Talk to each other.
correct.
Okay. Just a second. Okay,
Also,
we
there
are.
are U-turns. I'm sorry.
I think
It's
it's,
been a lot of
it's not
time in that
allowed, I think
intersection.
it's not allowed anymore, right?
There's no
That's correct.
signage that says you can't take a U-turn.
I see.
It's off of 56 to U-turn back to that entrance, but then, so everybody is trying to get on that inside U-turn, and then you have people turning right on red. It's just a matter of time before we've got.
We have discussed U-turns with Dottie before, and I didn't know there was no signage, so that would be another thing.
I think those two, like, the fence, no right on red, no U-turns, like, those are three, like, I know it's still money, but they're not like massive. Those are being like, and extend the walk time.
So. I am, I think this has been really very helpful, because I think that also all of these suggestions kind of show that this is like a multi-pronged, like any solutions to this, like there's no silver bullet. And kind of each of these can chip away at some of the issues. I think I do have a question for the D8 folks. Who in Dottie, since like, who should we be contacting around funding, for, if something is warranted and not funded, and its budget season is starting next month, who can we kind of nag about some of this stuff?
Well, for budget requests, it's going to be us, and it's going to be
Okay.
Amy Ford, as the manager the director of Dottie. I will say on a couple of points on funding, so, the, hot light at 56th and Beeler, Councilwoman Lewis has submitted that as one of her district's specific micro priorities, so every year, council members are allowed to submit as many micro priority requests. They're called micro, they're not necessarily micro in terms of dollar amounts, but basically, it's one of the best ways that we can get district-specific projects funded in a yearly budget cycle. And problems may have been ongoing for years and years and years in community, but if council members are able to get that submitted as a micro priority, it actually does a pretty good job of elevating it to sort of the funding priority on the 6-year capital improvement projects that agencies keep, including Dottie. And so it's one of the ways that we can elevate that. We have done it for 56th and Beeler signage for the no turn on red, as well as the prohibition on U-turns. That's also stuff that we can cover in the micro priority request, so I'll make sure that we get those added. But as far as who in Dottie to bother, it's going to be Amy Ford, and then it's also at this point going to be the mayor who you should be bugging at this point in the process. I'll be talking a little bit about the budget when we get to the community partner update, so I can sort of save that for now, but.
Well, you're almost, I mean, it's 7:30, so you're almost done. But, okay.
I was also just gonna make the point that this conversation is mostly focused on the Paul Sandoval campus with the high schools, 2 high schools. But we have 2 other shared campuses that have their own set of issues, right? That we haven't even really like dived into here, so it's just
oh, it's a lot of, you know, that's.
Okay, and I think that, anyway, we'll kind of pull together some notes from this. And I think Amy and Carol, if you can kind of put together a list of some like actionable asks. You know, we have parents from schools here, a bunch of us are parents at the schools here. I think what can be most helpful is actually talking to our networks of neighbors who are concerned about this, but I mean, this is the first time we've really done a deep dive on this issue within our own meeting itself. I think that just kind of bringing in more folks to kind of help push on this is.
Just very briefly, I want to add that I'm gonna go ahead and talk to Joel Noble. Inter-Neighborhood Cooperation, the INC, is the umbrella board of organization for all of the RNOs in Denver. And Joel Noble, we call it Safe Streets, he calls it the Transportation Committee. And so I will be chatting with him. He's been doing this for quite a while. And so I want to know what other neighborhoods are facing and tell what we're working on and just give more input.
I think something that would be helpful also just in terms of like context is understanding how many students we're talking about at these campuses. I mean, there's thousands of students. Yeah, so just in terms of
data.
Yeah, so we can, that would be very helpful. So anyway, we're
There's a
gonna
comment as well in the chat about the Denver Streets partnerships, is the Denver Streets partnership.
Okay.
We've had them come to one of our meetings in the past and present,
Okay,
as an advocacy group.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Amy and Carol. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And this is not the last time we'll be talking about this. I think, so.
Should comment.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I knew you've done incredible work. It's taking forever. I thought it was about Central Park Boulevard, which is why I came. You are aware that 2 people have been killed at 35th and Central Park.
At which one?
35th.
35th, yes, yeah.
You know, by Sprouts. And if you talk to RTD, all the people are parking on Willow and Wabash because they don't want to park at Central Park.
Yeah.
So it's affecting and it's not the school, but it's affecting parking. And the crosswalk also needs more time with suitcases walking to the train station.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent suggestion by you. And, that's about it. Thank you. I thought it was more about Central Park because there's speeding at night, there's drag races, you know, it's everything.
Yeah.
I think
But it's
the whole thing.
But the school definitely needs help.
I will say that a consistent source of data that was entered into the 311 reports for the city side specifically involved Central Park and 35th.
I'm new from Oregon. I don't even know what 311 is.
Appreciate it. And also Central Park and 28 where Westerly Elementary is with another B in the data. So that came up. The more points I bring up about the big themes, the more conversations we're gonna have. So, I don't know how many rabbit holes y'all want, but I can give them to you.
Yeah, I agree.
And that where has been an issue for 20+ years.
Yeah, it's a piggyback on what Brian is saying, Central Park and Northfield, there's an accident there every single week. I mean, it's as bad as MLK and Central Park, so basically all the intersections of the park are just like. And there are kids that live in the condos right on Central Park and Northfield, and it's there's some houses that they.
Yeah.
The open-ended survey questions, the survey the year before also asked about intersections, and it was basically every intersection on Central Park Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's a whole other topic that our committee also cares about. I care about it personally because I live on Central Park Boulevard. So yeah, and the councilwoman is well aware that whole corridor is
I think that's whereabouts.
it's like not great.
All right, well, thank you all. Anyway, I really appreciate this conversation. Let's jump in. We're now a little bit behind, so let's jump into community partner updates. If folks need to stand up and stretch, feel free to do so, but we will move forward on the agenda.
All right, well, I guess if I'm up next. My name is Jesse, for those of you who don't know me. I am the senior council aide. I handle policy for Councilwoman Lewis. I also handle the budget and land use issues, so a little bit of everything regarding safe streets. So just a couple of quick updates. Right now, we are at the point in the calendar where city council has to pass anything that's going to be referred to the ballot. There is a shot clock that the city clerk puts on items. So basically you have to have everything passed out of city council for placement on the ballot for voters in Denver to decide by the second week of August, third week of August. What that means is that all of this important legislation gets jammed up at the end of July, and the council meetings go on forever. We've been at council till 1 in the morning for the past 3 or 4 weeks now. And some of the items that were considered was the Vibrant Denver bond. That one did pass out of council, and so will be considered by voters of Denver in November. The XL franchise agreement, that one was brought a year early from when the expiration will be in 2027 of the XL franchise agreement. That one does need to be approved by the voters, but it actually didn't pass out of council. And so the city and Excel have to basically go back to the negotiating table and come up with something that will make it out of city council. There's a name change for excise and licenses. That's a department, city agency. They don't do anything with excise taxes, and so they're changing their name to reflect that they're basically just a business permitting office. And then there were two sort of election reform issues that were considered. The first one had to do with the election of the at-large council members who represent all of the city. That one did narrowly pass out of council, so city of Denver voters will get to vote on that one. And then the other election reform which didn't pass was ranked choice voting. So it would have allowed you to basically just rank your candidates by preference and then do it that way, similar to what New York and Portland and other cities around the country are trying. We are now out of the council ballot referral season. This last yesterday was our last round of the sort of ballot referral votes. And that means as a reward, city council now gets to start the budget process. So starting in September, the mayor is going to release his proposed budget for 2026. And this is a chance for the city council office, as well as those networks of neighbors that Liz was mentioning, and sort of this whole discussion has been about for the past 20, 30 minutes or so, to advocate for what you want to see in the budget. And so one of the things that I thought of just sitting around in this meeting is, I think it's going to be really important to fund Dottie Engineering. That's the specific group of people within the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure who have the ability to conduct warrants on issues, have the ability to conduct traffic studies, have the ability to design a lot of the actual traffic safety. So for me, one of the budget proposals that I would like to submit in September is basically about adequately funding Dottie Engineering in order to make a lot of this stuff happen. It's a chance for you all to bring your ideas to the table, propose them to the district office. Councilwoman Lewis, every year that she's been on council, has taken those very serious. We run amendments. Sometimes we pass amendments, sometimes we don't, but we will try if it is brought by community. And so that's one promise that I can make to you all. I will say that budget this year is going to be a very sort of thorny issue. As you're aware, we just laid off employees. Next year's outlook doesn't look much better. In fact, it looks pretty worse. And so the questions about the budget this year are going to be really, where do you pull money from in order to fund anything that you want? Knowing that we are, cutting back to truly essential services. I think that all the city services are essential, but in terms of how it's going to be talked about over the next couple of months, it's going to be essential services. So in order to fund something, you have to take money away from something else that exists at this point in time. So I will have a more thorough update on the budget next CPUN meeting, when the proposed budget should be out and available. I can give you some highlights and lowlights and all of that stuff there. And then the final piece that I wanted to give you today is just, the councilwoman has a couple of upcoming community meetings that, you are all invited to. So on Saturday, August 23rd, we're having a town hall from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the Environmental Learning for Kids, or ELK, out in Montbello. Saturday, September 6th, there will be office hours. The councilwoman, you can sign up for office hours and meet one-on-one with the councilwoman to discuss whatever issues you want to talk about. Could be big citywide issues, could be District 8 issues, could be, you know, the stop sign on your street level issues, to discuss with her. And then there's also going to be that same day, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., there will be a civic assemblies information meeting. Basically, civic assemblies are an idea that's been tried out in Fort Collins and other places where you basically do a lottery of citizens to talk about and come up with recommendations for citywide issues. So, for example, you could do it on homelessness, you could do it on budget cuts, you could do it in a number of different ways. Experts are provided to the people who are selected by lottery to make their decisions, and then the city goes ahead and implements it. So it's something Councilwoman's really been pushing for. It's got traction with the mayor. I think it's going to happen. So if you want to know more about civic assemblies, how they work, and how you can get involved in civic assemblies, it will be at the DA office. That's at the REP Taylor Municipal Center at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 6th. And then the last one is on Saturday, September 13th, there will be a Park Hill open house that's hosted by Denver Parks and Rec at the Hiawatha Davis Rec Center out on Holly and Martin Luther King from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Just sort of visioning for the Park Hill Park, answering questions that community members may have about it. And so the council office will be there, but this one's being sort of led by Denver Parks and Rec. So have those upcoming community meetings, and that's it for my updates. I can answer questions if we have time, but.
I think we probably should like move forward,
Okay.
but if you can send, I think, David, if you can send him
Yeah.
information on all of those events, we'll get them up on socials and in our emails. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I think, I see Lieutenant Hines is on, from DPD.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'll just go through some quick updates for you. I know we're running late on time here. First of all, I'll just give you a crime update. Right now in District 5, we're looking pretty good overall. The last 28 days, total crimes down 11%. And for the year, we're down about 23%. As we jump into the two precincts that comprise Sector 1 and Central Park in District 5. For anybody on the call who's not aware, DPD District 5 is responsible for all of the Central Park neighborhood that is within Denver. The Aurora areas are not within our area of purview. But for those areas include precincts 511 and 512. 511 is the area north of I-70 and 512 is south of I-70. For the last 28 days, violent crimes down 44% in precinct 511, total crimes just about even, and year-to-date total crimes down 22%. So we're happy to see those numbers right now. In precinct 512, violent crimes down 16% in the last 28 days, and about 17% for total crime in the last 28 days. Year-to-date, we're down 12.4% in total crime. So our numbers are actually looking really good compared to where we were at last year, and we're happy to see that. A couple of questions I've been getting this week, as the council office was talking about a minute ago, layoffs have unfortunately started to impact the city and county of Denver. And I've received several emails and calls from folks this week asking if it's going to impact police services in their neighborhood. At least for now, we haven't had any layoffs within the Department of Safety, and we're not anticipating any layoffs in the immediate future within the police department. So for now, you still have the same number of police officers out there that you had last week, and we're hoping that the budget adjustments we've made within the department allow us to keep everybody on staff for now. Couple things I wanted to mention. Quebec Square is an area that I've talked about a lot as one of our major shopping centers in Sector 1. It has an outsized impact on our crime figures in Sector 1, typically due to retail crimes. Quebec Square is under new ownership. We recently had a meeting with the new ownership of Quebec Square. They seem like they're very interested in becoming a good partner with us in the community and working towards making it feel like a safer and better area for each of you to go shopping. So we plan to meet with them more in the near future, and we're hoping that that does a lot to tamp down some of the retail crime and some of the safety fears that some of you have voiced to us about going to shopping areas in the area. The only other thing I wanted to mention tonight is that the Denver Police Department does have our annual District 5 Safety Expo coming up. That is on Saturday, September 6th. I would like to tell you the hours right now, but I believe technician Cabrera is on here and probably knows those hours better than I do, because for some reason I failed to write down when I made these notes today. Are you on tonight?
Am I?
Perhaps she is not on the call. I apologize. I believe that Expo starts around noon. I can look and put that into the chat, but for some reason I didn't have it on my notes here. But we do have our Safety Expo coming up on September 6th. So we'd be happy to have you join us, bring your families out. We usually bring out some of our cool equipment that people can take a look at. Depending on availability of resources, we try to have things like our bomb squad and some fire trucks, and everybody likes the fire trucks. I mean, even look, I'm a cop and I like the fire trucks, but still we'll have a lot of that fun stuff out there. So please join us if you can, and I'll put the hours in the chat here as soon as I can look them up for you.
Great, thank you.
Of course, and if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I'm also happy to yield the time because I know we're kind of running behind here. So
Questions? I don't see anything. I don't think there's anything in the chat. Okay, great. Thank you, Lieutenant Hines. Diane?
thank you.
Yeah, so we're wrapping up the summer season. If any of you are or would like to become a lifeguard, let me know. We desperately need them if we want to keep the pools open. They've all gone to school and so, and there's such a positive with employing your neighborhood students. However, there's a negative, and that is they all go back to school at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and it's not as early as our temperature changes. I mean, it's earlier than our temperature changes. So, anyone you know that would like to come help us out at the pools, we'll teach them to at least be front desk, and then we can all be up on the stands. But all the events went really well. We felt very good. We had great crowds at movies and concerts. We still have a concert after Labor Day and a couple of tours in the park coming up. But our biggest event of the season is our kids triathlon, and we have 600 racers this year.
Oh my God.
It will happen on Sunday. If you live close to Jetstream Park, you will be affected from about 7 a.m. until about 1 p.m. But it's also really fun, and the community over there is terrific with supporting all the kids on their bikes and running and swimming. So that's really what we've got going. We have our board meeting tomorrow and right in here. So that's what's going on quickly for us.
Can I do 2 shout outs for you?
Yes.
The first one, my son knows one of the bands that played, it was the guy's name, that was the name of the band. Anyway.
Okay.
And they loved the venue. They loved the crowd.
Great.
And they do a lot of stuff during the summertime, and he said, we really had a good time, we really enjoyed that venue.
Oh, great.
So know that.
Good to hear. Thank you.
And the farmer's market this year is the bomb.
Awesome, isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's finally hit its stride. And I think our community has become used to it, and now they know they can count on it. They're attending, and we have really good farmers.
You have great and if the vendors, there's just a great variety.
Thank you, thank
And
you. I'll
it's
pass it
just,
along.
and you can bring your dog. I mean, it's just, it's so, I don't know, cohesive and kind and pleasant, and
Thank
it's
you.
just a nice place to be.
I love it because you have an open space in the middle.
Yes.
So you might be congested by all the booths, but you have one side of you that's really open and you can just step into it. So, thank you. It's, we feel really, really good. We feel like our events are our shining, little trophy for this community. And I think it really, if people get out to the events, they see the amount of diversity that we have in this community.
Well, and you're pulling people from other neighborhoods too.
Exactly.
So
And
it's
that,
great.
and you know, for me, being here, yes, I have been here for 23 years.
Wow.
So this was the start of my 23rd year, and my goal was to always make this community feel like a seamless part of Denver and a non-gated part of Denver, and that was hard early on. But I think we're finally seeing that flow. So, and I'm seeing people from the north go south and from the south go north,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad about that. So, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I see Daria is online with the library.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for having me. I have a few updates for you about library happenings. So the One Book, One Denver is back after about 10 years of not being a thing. So this is a citywide reading initiative, and it brings people together through the power of a shared story. So this year's selection is Stay True by Hua Shu. And you can stop by the library and pick up a free copy, completely free of charge for you to keep or pass on to anyone you'd like. It's also available with no wait on Libby, whether you read ebooks or listen to audiobooks. We will host 3 events at Sam Garrett Library. There will be a zine workshop on Wednesday, August 27th. There will be a film screening of a relevant film on Wednesday, September 10th. And there will be a book club to discuss Stay True on Sunday, October 5th. I'll put all of that info in the chat as well. The Twin Chess and the game clubs are back through the rest of the year, and they will be happening this month on October 20th and 27th in the community room. The Lego Club will come back on 4th Tuesdays and will start in September. Now, the Idea Lab will be holding a laser cutting basics class. That would be on Saturday, August 23rd. And they will introduce you to what lasers can do, how to operate them safely, how to create your own designs. That one does require registration, and there will be a link for that as well. Now, very excited to let you know that on Sunday, August 24th, we will hold a special weaving workshops. It will be to commemorate the Independence Day of Ukraine. It is a project that is inspired by traditional belts of a Ukrainian national costume. They're called kraika, and there will be 6 different designs to choose from, and you can weave your own little like key fob or wristlet, something to put on your keys. So that will be happening again on Sunday, August 24th. And lastly, the library will be closed all day on Friday, August 29th for a citywide furlough day.
All right, thank you, Daria.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for putting all the information in the chat. We'll be sharing out a lot of that information in the next newsletter too. I don't think we have Leslie. Oh, we do.
She
Oh,
sent me a
okay.
message. She can't be here.
Oh, okay.
So Lila,
Interest Center.
yeah, Lila, who's the development director at Bluff Lake, wanted us to know that because they 1,100 donations led to a $500,000 matching gift. Wow. If you have not driven by Bluff Lake, do, because it's really changing. And the buildings have started to go up. They've currently raised $7.6 million. Neighbors have raised $963,000 of that. And there are, I didn't know this term, recognition opportunities for gifts over $1,000. That means you can have a drinking fountain with your name on it, or a bench, or trail overlooks and rain gardens. So that's what Lila wanted us to know.
Thank you. All right, and then, Brian, I know you're online, since we are running behind, so, if you can talk to us about Waste No More in about 2 or 3 minutes, that would be great, and then we will also have more time if there's like, I think, well, our September meeting, we're going to have a candidate forum for DPS, but we'll also have more time, for folks to talk at our October meeting as well, but if you wanna unmute yourself and go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for hearing from me today. I appreciate your time. I am putting some information into the chat for you. And here's the basics along of it. In 2022, 70.8% of Denver voters said yes to Waste No More Denver, ballot measure to require waste diversion access to services in places that the municipal waste hauling did not serve. Restaurants, community spaces, events, the businesses, the apartment complexes, where private corporations run the service. In 23, the task force took a year, made a whole bunch of recommendations. In 24, Michael Johnson and departments got a hold of those. In January 2025, myself, a name you'll recognize, Ian Thomas Tafoya, one of the original proponents of the ballot measure, started negotiating with the mayor's office. In June and July, the measure went before committee, and it took so long because we were sent by council to go negotiate some more. We could not come to agreement. We have council amendments that include endorsements by Councilwoman Lewis, Parity, and Alvidrez. And we are asking for people to click the links that I've included in the chat, share them out. There is a toolkit that is continuing to be built. On Friday, I was told that the council vote was Monday, yesterday. Yesterday, they decided to postpone it till November 8th to give all council members adequate time to review. The biggest point of contention is that the Colorado Restaurant Association has asked for a preemptive exemption that says before a restaurant would be required to consider reducing their food waste or the organic materials that go to a landfill, they would first have to generate or project generation of a minimum of $2 million annually. It is the first of its kind anywhere in the nation, such preemptive exemption. And again, you can reach more. You can read more on the links below that I've included in the chat. You can send me emails directly to wastenomore@gmail.com. The vote dates that City Council vote are both September 8th and September 15th. September 15th vote is the one that ensures that whatever the vote is what final happens, and there's a preemptive vote the week beforehand that could kill amendments entirely. So we are looking for outreach to all city council representatives and for your information to be made part of the public record, which you can find following the link, tell city council to vote yes.
Thank you, Brian. I think David, you got that link just okay. All right, thank you very much. I have a couple of questions, but I can ask you them offline. I'm just curious about the economic impact of like that the restaurants think that waste diversion will have.
For 30 seconds, if I might just tell you that the factors that are most important by 2030, all businesses in the state of Colorado should have access to free recycling through the state's producer responsibility for paper and packaging program, which is under public comment currently at the state level. And I'll be glad to give you more information on that. Additionally, this measure is not about creating additional waste. It is about diverting it because food waste, which in the United States equates to about 22 billion pounds of waste annually, is the state's third largest generator of methane emissions, which is where climate change comes from.
All right, thank you, Brian. I think that's it for community partner updates. So thank you for everybody for kind of sticking with us. Brian, do you want to go through the treasurer's report? But it's 8 o'clock now.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I can be
why
really
don't you
quick.
just do that as quickly as possible, and then we'll just kind of have a
I don't, yeah, I think,
open discussion.
I think the thing is that the way CPUN runs is we do our, year basically July to July, because that's when our boards are over. So what you see on the screen is kind of what we spent last year as a summary. And then the next slide is, the next slide. These are our recurring expenses, and these recurring expenses, I just want to call out that our liability insurance, just like everybody's insurance, is going up. Our liability insurance for the first time in 20 years, believe it or not, went up, and it went up pretty significantly, about 25%. But still reasonable if you need to do that. So these are the recurring expenses, this page, and then the next page are newer recurring expenses, and one of the items was, thought we were gonna look at software for the survey, so I did put that up there. And then it's not new, but I didn't update the slides from last year. Each of the committees, we've designated $150 that the committees can spend at their discretion. Above that $150, it does need to come back to the board. And then the last slide is kind of the discussion slide, which is, or I'm sorry, these are our revenues. So thankfully, Diane for 20+ years has been giving us a really nice donation. We also made good money from the mini golf. And so basically, if we spend what we say we were going to spend and we get these, we will be net neutral. So our, which is what we kind of have been looking. So, and then the last slide is, what we have said in the past is the committees have that $150 for their discretion, but we ask the committees to inform the board of what they're going to spend it on. It's not an approval, it's an inform. So, and Jamie's not here, but if the DEI committee wanted to do another event and it was within their $150, that, when they decided that, they would come to the board and notify the board of what they were going to do. That's all that we're saying. We did not get any special requests from any of the committees. So we didn't put it in there as approved, per se. But if there are special requests, you just have to work with Liz and I, bring them to the board. We'll have them on the agenda and we'll work through it. The one call out is we just want to be careful that any events that use CPUN or say sponsored by CPUN, that there is board notification so that the committees aren't kind of rogue out there doing their own thing. So what else did you have?
No, this is just, I think that some of the feedback, a lot of the kind of takeaways from the community survey are that folks are interested in events, getting together with neighbors. They're less interested in meetings where we talk about a bunch of stuff, which I completely understand. So I do want folks who are on the board to think about what kind of events do we want to have. And so that is generally where special budget requests are just from, planning events. So Jamie, a couple of years ago, we did the Art of the Powwow for Native American Heritage Month. And that was, and we also did separate fundraising for that. And it was a great event. We really, other than the mini golf tournament, we don't really do like large events. And they also don't have to be necessarily large events, but I want folks to just kind of be thinking around, what can we be doing as an organization to kind of bring folks together outside of the context of a meeting. So just want to encourage folks to think about that. So then in September, we will have a candidate forum.
Yes.
So, so we can kind of, I think, move into just what will for the next like 25 5 minutes or so. Just a board and committees catch up. A couple of things I wanted to acknowledge before we start. And Diane, this is actually an MCA thing, but it's actually the 5-year anniversary to the day of the MCA board voting on removing the name Stapleton and replacing it with the name Central Park. And then a couple of weeks later, Stapleton United Neighbors became Central Park United Neighbors. So I just wanted to acknowledge that was August 19th, 2020.
Wow.
So time flies. Someday when we can like catch our breath, maybe we should have like a day of reflection and talk about that stuff. For now, just like acknowledgement of it. And I also just wanted to acknowledge, I don't know how many folks in this room knew her, but like the passing of one of our neighbors, Martina Will, who I think a lot of folks know her in different contexts as a parent in the neighborhood, but also she wrote several pieces for the Front Porch, passed away, was it about a week ago last Sunday, or a week ago Sunday, and today was her funeral. So I just want to, my heart goes out to her kids, and her family. And so,
It was a force.
and she was a great, just in terms of the sort of people you want to surround yourself with and the sort of neighbors you want to have. Martina was like a number one, like a great, great person. So anyway, now I just want to open this up to board members or anybody who's in the room. Kind of the question, we didn't meet in July. We had our happy hour last week that actually a good number of folks came to, but we did miss some other board members. So just what's been going on? What should we be paying attention to in CPUN or as a community? And I just want to open it up to folks in the room, and on Zoom as well.
Carol, do you want to plug the board?
Yeah.
And yeah, give a shout out. We are having, our next meeting in September is devoted to the candidate forum, DPS candidate forums. People have until August 29th to decide whether they would like to be a candidate. And so far, District 4, our district has 4 candidates, including the incumbent. And then the at-large position has 4 people. 7 have responded to be in attendance next month. All 4 of the District 4 candidates and 3 of the at-large candidates have responded. So we'll be having that in the big room over here at the Cube. And thank you so much to the people who showed up last week for our education committee meeting. I had like 9 people and a lot of board members. And so thank you very much for not just attending, and then we were throwing ideas out and possible agendas and that sort of thing, but also who just said, I'll do what you need to get done, so that we have good turnout. And so we're talking about the marketing aspect of this, and then just questions, and there's a lot of different pieces, but thank you so much. And I'll let you know about another meeting so that we get the agenda firmed up, but the interest and the support is very much appreciated. It's a big deal, people. It's a big deal. So, and we want a good turnout.
We have 1 month, so what sort of, I guess, what are the?
We
next
have to
couple
get
of
the,
weeks look
well, we're
like?
working on questions, and we're working on, we've switched things up a little bit, and in terms of the 2 people who will ask the questions, Tommy and I are gonna be, we don't even have a name, but we'll introduce the candidates, we'll take that role. We'll want refreshments. Lawrence already knows about this in terms of setting up the room, because that's gonna be different. I'm a teacher. I'm not teaching right now, but I will always be a teacher. And I did with my kids, I plan backwards. So that's what we're doing, is planning backwards. How are we gonna end that evening? And then how do we start the evening? That sort of thing. So I'm getting back with people who attended the meeting this week. I'm getting back with them in terms of the list. And I can share that with the rest of the board as well. Okay?
It's a big list.
Have we hosted this before, or?
Yes.
Years past?
Yes,
So it's pretty well attended.
Yes, it was well attended.
Yeah.
On Zoom, and but in person as well. Yeah, we did have.
I think we had over 100 people between.
And we had fewer candidates, so this is a little, the logistics with 7 is.
Are you still looking for students
or ask?
Always.
Okay.
I mean, and thank you for saying that, because we have to have kids be part of this. They need to be visible. 2 years ago, June
Yeah, my kids did this.
was the timekeeper, and I'm telling you, the candidates paid greater respect and attention to her than they would have to an adult. And that's not, shaming the candidates, but I'm just saying that when students are present, they pay attention, candidates pay attention.
Anything else, or like, I know that, David, we should talk about like the communications and outreach. I feel like there's a lot of, well, no, I mean, we we haven't met in about 6 months, or even longer, and I feel like communications and outreach are kind of crucial to like just, kind of bringing in neighbors or helping folks like, like the woman who just moved here from Oregon who came to the meeting tonight. That was great. But anyway, so I think we need to reboot, that meeting.
It gets, that committee kind of goes in cycles though, because
Yeah,
it gets in a stride. And the stride's there, so we've got the emails, and emails work, the social media, you've got, and that's what ends up happening is you kind of get, and then you kind of, but we still, I mean, how many people are we, is on our list, we're around that.
9,300.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're between the 9,000 and 10,000. It's nowhere near your emails, but, it's still, an opt-in on that.
yes, actually, would it be possible to just have a like, wanna get news from CPUN, like thing for last year's?
Send us a
and
little,
Just, I know, cause we could do some.
little communications about who you are and all, we'd be happy to put it on our email.
Yes. Oh, great, okay, we can do that, but I think that.
We can even put in a link to click here from
Just
where I'm
click
going.
here, yeah, cause I think that, I mean, so I feel like a lot of folks are on social media about what you want us to kind of be reaching folks without an algorithm. And so anyway, and I think that engagement on the newsletters is like one way, engagement in person, is, another way.
We find they do pay somewhat of attention, because they don't always read. But they do pay attention to e-plus.
Yeah. So, one thing I did wanna say, I guess we're apparently getting a Trader Joe's.
For sure.
Is that for sure, or does anybody, I saw,
open.
I was.
I would say it
The
that way.
Denver Business Journal, so,
I mean, it's still like, there's gonna be a new building for it, so.
yeah,
I'd still say it's.
Be a while.
off in
Yeah.
distance, hey,
Yeah, I don't know that Northfield has,
Signed a lease.
well, they have not signed off on whatever it's going to
Specialty
be.
grocer.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have not said that's who it is yet, because it has not gone through their whole process.
Well, didn't when they were here, they said there was that non-compete that was part of the whole Northfield covenants or whatever, and they were rewriting that, and I don't know that
Yeah, so,
that has been finalized.
yeah, so there's some logistics that Northfield cannot legally say anything about it yet.
what was the reporting base?
There is-
again?
If I might add, there is some limit, there is renegotiation and restrictive covenant, that applies to the Northfield properties that is in process. But it's been represented to me that those, rules, we'll call them, that existed, to this point are largely being rewritten, and will have an effective date in January.
Okay, so ultimately, like, we'll hear officially in January?
Yes.
Okay,
I believe we will likely hear far earlier than that, but it's just a matter of how those complex transactions are put together.
It's 16, we've got a little more time if anybody else would like to, just kind of weigh in either like as a board member, a community member, or, one of the committees. I think that a lot of us, I think that the DEI committee will be in touch with you, Carol, about one or two questions for the forum.
Good,
So,
excellent.
and I think that, yeah, if any other folks want to, I guess, provide, if you haven't already, like, contact Carol about any questions you might have for the candidates.
Safety around the schools would be a really good question.
Yeah.
Safety.
The questions, just so everybody knows, it's not gonna be like an open forum or raise your hand.
Yeah.
The questions are gonna be set ahead of time, yeah.
And are the candidates gonna get the questions in advance?
Yes, yeah, and we're inviting them to give written responses as well, so if people cannot attend in person, that after the fact, that their would-be response will be available to the voting public.
That gets website traffic.
Yeah.
It always has.
When we think about events that we're trying to do, are we focused on these events being fundraisers or free events for the community?
Generally, I think well, other than the mini golf fundraiser, which is a fundraiser, we try to have things that are free for community members. So, or, whoever wants to show up. So, and yeah, I think that I would just say, like, it's really like it's very open-ended. So like, if you have an idea, I don't know, if you want to do like a meetup and do yoga in Central Park or something like that, and want some money for food, or like, that is a very simple budget request. And that it can be something as simple as that. We've done meetups at playgrounds with folks for, at least the DEI committee has done that in the past, just to again be outside of like the meeting room context, and that has been a good event. Like, yeah, I would just say, like, kind of think as creatively as you like.
The powwow was great, we should do that again.
Which one?
The powwow.
Powwow was wonderful.
It was a pretty heavy organizing lift, and fundraising lift. So I think that, anyway, Jamie's not here to speak to it, but I think that
Volunteer.
we can, yeah.
See what happens.
We can talk about it again, but I think that the folks because we had vendors, and I appreciated, like, we had kind of vendors there, and there was it was at no cost to the vendors too, in addition to the folks attending. So it was to really kind of encourage, like, the inclusion of as many folks in the event as possible.
Yeah.
So we thought about doing a Central Park public art tour.
Mhm.
And the woman that helped get all that organized here came and spoke to our group. And so we thought that would be interesting. Where we ran around a little bit was we thought it would be good to rent like a small bus. So everyone can be traveling together, and she can be on the bus telling us we can get out, walk around, look at the pieces. So would you be open to like a proposal for renting the bus?
Like, in partnering on that.
Yeah.
How much does the bus cost?
I don't even know. I think we were saying it was gonna be like $40 a person, depending how many people we had. It could be 20 a person, so.
Like, we can talk about.
Disco bus?
Central Park bus.
Will you paddle or are you?
No, there's a disco ball and disco dance between stops.
Well, something that I mentioned it when we were doing the mini golf event, is something that I would really like to do someday, is to just do a neighborhood scavenger hunt. But which actually incorporating it with the public art that's around the neighborhood, in terms of like some of the drop off location, or the locations on it. But so let's talk Central Park artists.
It's a good idea.
Barb has retired, though.
Yeah.
Barb Neal's retired, and so she's passed that off, and there's a new person that's doing it.
Yeah, I think Barb said she would still be interested. That's
She
just
did.
interesting.
We asked her about it.
Yeah,
if
you would.
we could.
Yeah, she would not.
Yeah.
Her passion.
It is.
That was
Good conversation.
All right, well, why don't we, I guess, since we're kind of nearing the end of the meeting, we can just do a quick look ahead, or I'll do it kind of verbally. September 19th is our next meeting, that will be the DPS candidate forum, so we'll be largely, I think, in terms of like the ask of board members is to support, like, basically support Carol and the education committee folks.
So I have
in
a lot-
organizing, yeah.
September 16th.
Oh, is it September
16th,
16th?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
On purpose, like.
All right, thank you. So I think that, well, actually, maybe I need to share my screen or look at my screen because I have these things. Oh, I had the date wrong on it anyway. But Tuesday, October 21st, is our October meeting. And we actually have that fairly open. We don't have, a guest speaker or a topic booked for October. I don't know if anybody would be interested in doing like a beer and ballot initiatives, conversation. So we'll have the DPS candidates forum in September, but maybe we can invite speakers on the yes, no sides of the go bonds, and a couple of ballot initiatives. That we'll have in November. So if folks would be interested in that, I can start reaching out to get speakers for October.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, more information about the items on the ballot.
Yeah, it's a very, especially, it's not midterms, it's not a presidential year. So often like these can be very low information, races, so, yeah. So, okay, I'll start working on that. We also, I know the guy from DDPH, so the Department of Public Health in Denver reached out, but I think that that's fairly open-ended and we could move him to like early 2026. And then we also should have some time just to talk. I think last September we did a little bit of a board retreat. And so I think that we are overdue for having it, especially with some new board members. So I think that we can the October meeting will probably be, the board hour will be internal work, as a board, and then we can do the ballot initiatives earlier. And then, in November, I sent out a save the date, email, or it was in an email to save the date. But we won't have a Tuesday meeting in November. Instead, our November meeting will be Saturday, November 15th. And it'll be a joint Northeast Denver, meeting of our neighboring RNOs. So East Colfax, Park Hill and Montbello. And so that is currently being organized through the City Council District 8 office. What I think the ask of the CPUN board or just any like Central Park folks is to think about what topics, like what topics we'd like to see at that meeting, and discussed at that meeting. Maybe it is about traffic safety around schools in our neighborhoods. I think that that is a pain point for each community in Denver. And the other kind of nice thing about the District 8 office organizing this is that they can reach out for speakers from different city agencies to come and talk about. So last year, we had the head of the planning department and also representatives from the housing department talking about planning decisions and housing affordability in each of our neighborhoods. So I would say that probably by the end of September, we should kind of have at least a few requests of the District 8 office for that November meeting.
And then Liz, by canceling the November meeting, we typically always do a combined November, December.
Yeah.
Because the December meeting is always near Christmas. Do we want to do the joint and then do an early December board meeting or not do a meeting in
I,
That
What
was
I
a
would-
question, not.
yeah,
a
what
question.
I would propose is that we turn for happy hour. Or like in early December, just to like, so that like as an organization, or, and also maybe we can invite further organizations or. Something like that, but to.
Yeah, because maybe we could use the cube,
We'll have the cube, I think. So-
December 16th.
Oh, well, we should ask if we could have it, I mean, that, yeah.
So
So-
Tuesday night, like, there's not a lot of parties.
They've used the cube for like choir concerts and things like that, actually, so we'll have to ask. what
But I think it would be
the-
nice to, we could get the other artists over here as well for just holiday cheer.
Yeah, so. Or, yeah, instead of a happy hour, maybe a holiday call. Okay. All right, well, that is our meeting, we. Yeah, so thank you, everybody who joined us.
On your way out, drink, wine.